Pod in the City is a Sex in the City podcast and thus contains adult themes and explicit content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Pod in the City. I'm Amanda.
And I'm John.
We're two besties who bonded over Sex in the City in college.
And now, 20 years later, we're reliving it like it's our very first time. Season 3, Episode 9, Easy Come, Easy Go. Big tells Carrie that he's leaving his wife. Miranda deals with her breakup. And Steve moving out of the apartment. After meeting the McDougal family matriarch, Charlotte maneuvers Trey into making an alrighty proposal. And Samantha is upset when dating a hot guy with funky spunk. Amanda's on mute.
Well, I was cackling. And as I said last week or a few days ago when we tried to record this, happens to all of us, right? Happens to the best of us.
Luckily, I don't believe that I have ever had funky spunk myself, luckily. And I avoid having to get that near this whenever I'm with other people. So
I have a story about spunk that I will tell later in the episode. I just don't want to tell it in the first 10 minutes here, but try to remind me that there was like
stay tuned for Amanda's spunk story.
Yeah.
Yay! So if you didn't know, you probably didn't know, we tried to record this the other day, and Cox Communications can go rotten hell. Rotten hell, Cox. Rotten hell. Anyway, hi guys. It's Pod in the City. We're here on all things Sex in the City. And things have been chugging along. In fact, we found out, and just like that's going to be happening this summer. Very pumped. And really, there's a lot of other things happening too, surprisingly, which are that Charlotte's podcast is still going. Kristen Davis's podcast. This week she had Marcus.
Oh, all right. But she got him. He's not. He must be still busy.
She tracked him down at whatever office he's working in now.
We're not two people to judge at all.
Trust me, I'm not being a bitch. I'm just like,
yeah.
That's your guest?
She had MPK the other day, and it was almost unlistenable. So,
well,
I'd rather listen to Marcus.
Her and I just want to call her Miranda. Her and Cynthia Nixon have been like getting into it together. Not getting into it, but hanging out, enjoying their time together, sisterly shit. And here's a little update. They did they were I guess following a meme here. And it was like two people sitting together being like, who's more likely to
It's not a meme, it's a trend, right?
Oh yeah, trend.
God,
I think it's one of those things called a meme. I think it's called a meme. It was like they were asking them dumb questions. Sorry, they were dumb questions, but things relating to the show. Like, who's more likely to eat leftover cake out of the garbage?
Me.
That's the two. And here was the answer. I am more likely to eat stuff out of the garbage in general. They took it. The funny thing about this was like, they were asking these questions that are supposed to be like, I guess, semi-jokes.
Yeah.
And they took it like so seriously of like being like, well, I think that, Kristen doesn't really eat from the garbage, but, I have done that in the past. There was this one day that I just was really struggling and I just, I accidentally threw something in the trash and I thought it was like, I don't think this was the point of the Mimi girls.
I always think of that episode where Miranda's like addicted to making herself Duncan Hines cake, and
that's the one.
Pours the palm olive on it. I always think of that because I'll do that.
Well, she first throws it in the garbage and then takes it out of the garbage and then eats it.
Yeah, and then she
pours the soap on it. The other one of the questions was, it was like, who's more likely to be in Vera Wang at 2 p.m? And it was like, well, Kristen's much more likely to be at Vera Wang. She loves to shop. It's like,
Fascinating.
Cool, girls.
You know who would do this trend? Jen and Mary from Sister Wives, and they would be laughing
Laughing it up. Who's
Perfect.
more likely to catfish with a banana pick? Oh, well, I don't know. Who's ever done that?
Really quickly, guys, join our Patreon.
I was just going to say, this is a perfect segue because if you want to hear two people actually maybe be funny and have fun in a little bit of a mailbag, we get some listener mail and we answer it. Check out our Patreon, y'all. It's patreon.com/pod and the city. It's $6 a month. And you get free extra episodes every single week. You also get these episodes early and ad-free. And
yeah, we're doing Golden Girls, which John loves. Smash. Pillow Talk, where we just talk about sex. And then this mailbag that we just added. That was a huge success.
And last week we did our Pillow Talk episode, and it was the kink edition, which, guys, I think you want to join to listen to our kinks.
Oh, and you just found out the kink, and you didn't think it was that kinky, but you thought it was kinky.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda. People would think it's kinky.
I said that I don't think it was that bad, but I definitely think people would listen and be like, not most people, but I think some people would be like, oh. But I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, I need to know.
You guys will never know. Let's be clear.
I don't even think people would figure it out, but somehow I figured it out.
Yes. After begging. I was like, yeah. All right.
Well, I've lived a few lives. Also, guys, every Wednesday we do a live show, and it's at noon on Wednesdays on YouTube. Please come check it out. Maybe on your lunch break, or you want to ditch your work shit to come over there and leave us some comments. This week we're talking about the SAG Awards. We're talking about Traitors, Drag Race, all of that.
Yeah. So
White Lotus. I actually watched White Lotus, guys, 3 years later. But
we'll talk about it. And we're talking about the Pod Meets World drama.
Oh yeah. I'm
like drama that I love, where it's just stupid and frivolous. I love it.
It's definitely dumb, but I think that Danielle Fishel, her husband, I guess, is the guy who lied about
shrimp. Yes, and then he's also was accused of all these just being a piece of shit as a boyfriend.
So I'm gonna just take that for what it is.
He was on an episode of Doughboys, a very good episode, and then immediately after that happened, they did not fuck with him anymore.
Oh, really? After the shrimp tails in the
I think the allegations came out.
Oh, geez.
I think it all kind of happened at the same time. Anyway, more about Doughboys on another time, I'm sure.
What I will say is, guys, we did originally try and record this 4 days ago. And if you know anything about me, I typically watch these, and then within an hour of watching it, we record it. So bear with me.
Remember this? This is the big and Carrie in the elevator, Joan with her.
Yes, I do. I do remember. And I will say, it gave a little bit of non-consensual vibes for a moment. He kind of forces himself on her.
That's kind of what's hot about it. I think also that Carrie's, I mean, there's just so many ways that she could have just stopped this.
You think? My God. She wanted it just as badly. Let's be real.
Yeah, she's been wanting it, Joan.
She wants that big douche again. Now I don't think Aiden has anyway. All right. One unfortunate thing about ending a relationship in a city like New York is while you can emotionally move away from each other, you physically can't. We find out that Miranda and Steve have been broken up now for 3 whole weeks. And Steve asks Miranda to go look at apartments with him. Okay, so then
I lived with Brad for 6 months after we decided to get divorced.
But you guys were having sex periodically, didn't you? Did you have separate rooms and stuff?
Well, we only had one bedroom apartment. Exactly. But it was kind of well, our lease is up in January, so let's just be a couple. And then we got along better in those 6 months than ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, because there was no
Because it was
pressure.
like, oh, well, it's almost over.
Now we can just be friends and you don't have to take out all your shit on me and I you.
Yeah, you could find someone anyway.
That's
When you okay, so then we cut to this is the big art furniture show. When you find that place to move, you need to fill it with furniture. That's why smart New Yorkers frequent the opening day of the new designer showcase. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is for rich people and rich people alone. Yeah. Smart New Yorkers aren't like, let me go down to Grand Central so I can see what's going on at the furniture showcase.
I was vacuuming back here and like one of those candles in Broad City, right? These are like one fell to the ground and that entire thing went.
Oh, I can tell. I was gonna say it looks crooked.
It's fucked up. Like I can't touch it. I'm moving in like 8 months. So I'm like, well, all my furniture I'll just buy when I move.
Yeah.
But now my aunt is like considering selling this house to me, which works out great because then I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if I touch that right
now.
Guys,
check out the video version. Yeah. It does look like if like it's like in a movie, one feather falls from the sky and it'll just like lands on it, it all like smatters into it.
I carried that shit that like we got that like in first apartment in New York in 2008.
Which at this point is like almost 20 years ago. Yeah. All right. So Carrie's there helping Aiden with his shit. She's like, I'm like your roadie. And he's like, I don't have a road. I just have this booth. And she's like, at best, he's like, at best, you're my booth bitch. And she's like, yeah, I'm your booth bitch. I wax your wood. And he's like, you wax it real good. That's because you're my
this is annoying to me. They're in public. This is super.
They are in the middle of Grand Central Station on a crowded, tons of people around them. And he hoists her onto the desk and she's straddling with her legs wrapped around him and they're making out. Like, I would be like, okay.
I've been dating for a while now. I've been very open about the fact that I'm super hormonal and extra horny these days. But if like some guy who, even if I was like super into him and he tried to do this to me in public, I'd be like, what are you fucking doing?
I would feel very like, well, I mean, I'm fine with PDA, but this, I'd be like, this would be like you own a store and then you decide that you're gonna like fuck your girlfriend on the counter while customers are coming in. Yeah. It would never happen. So he goes to go get coffee and dun dun dun, Big and Natasha appear. I'd often fantasized about running into my ex and his wife, but in those fantasies, I was running into them with a truck.
That right there, though, indicates that you're not over him then. And
not at all.
That you're fantasizing about that. I mean, I guess that is normal. I guess.
I don't think so because Natasha has done nothing to Carrie. Natasha didn't like steal Carrie or Big from Carrie. Like, Natasha did nothing here. So if anything, your fantasy should be about him getting run over. But even then, you chose to break up with him. Didn't you, Carrie?
Yeah, but I think he needed to kind of go through this. But I always thought that like that Carrie was like, oh, never mind. I already said this last week.
Natasha's walking around, and this is where we get the idea and establishment that Natasha and them, like, she wants like beige, boring shit because she feels this desk, this gorgeous solid wood handmade desk, and is like, this wood is just oppressive. And I'm like, I'm gonna beat you up, bitch. Carrie sees them, and then she hides behind the desk, and she's like crawling on the ground, and Big like sneaks up behind her, kind of comes up behind her and like looks at her. He's like, what the fuck? And she's like, hi. I mean, their chemistry, the two of them, their chemistry is like magnetic shit when you see them on together. And they're just so natural, really. She's like, I mean, I'm not working. He's like, hey. And she's like, I'm working here. And he's like, she's like, I'm not working. This is my boyfriend's booth. She's like, I'm his booth, bitch. That's a joke. You know. Then basically they are like, yeah, the pieces are great. And Big's like, no, we only like really teeny tiny furniture. And he's like, this is Natasha, and this is, Aiden comes up, right? Okay. She's
Michael
like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
Goes on and on in the commentary about this scene, about how brilliant it is that they have her go, oh, these are my friends, Natasha, and this is, and then she spills the coffee before she's able to get his name out.
This is it's brilliant because of that.
Yeah, I mean, MPK gives themselves a lot of kudos.
Yes, this is the modern Shakespeare of our time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yes,
this is Carrie's one of my favorite lines though, where Carrie's like, "Oh my god, is it hot?" And he goes, "Well, it's not cold."
He's like, "It ain't cold." Yeah, she's like talking. She's like, "This is Natasha, and this is," and then she spills the coffee. It goes all over Big, hot coffee. She's like, "Oh my god, shit, sorry, is that hot?" Oh my god, now I have the hiccups. It ain't cold. Great. And she's like, oh my god, here, like, oh, and he's like, oh, and then Natasha's like, I'll help him clean that up. Because Carrie's like gonna help him rub his cock with hot coffee on it. So then they walk away, and Aiden's like, so where do you know them from? And Carrie's like, oh, from around like 100 years ago. It's a past life.
That's another sign you're not over him either. Because if you're over him, then you'd be like, that was my ex-boyfriend. Thank you for being cool.
I also would, if the person that you're with, let's say, and you're like, oh, where do you know them from? And they're like, from around like 100 years ago. It's a past life.
Yeah, it's like
I would be like, I'm gonna need a little more detail than that.
And also, this indicates she has never shared with Aiden.
Yeah, and in the last episode, Aiden and Big crossed over in the hallway in the apartment.
That's right. Yeah, he wouldn't have recognized him though. But yeah, see, like that would be weird too. That it's like, oh, you had like a whole ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend that you've never told me about.
Well, and that you just had too.
Yes.
And then when you introduce them, you don't introduce them as your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, that would get in my head a lot.
All right, 2 hours later, it was time for the opening day party. It was lovely. Caviar, silent auctions, and landmines. Out comes Big. He's drunk, and he's like, where's Paul Bunyan?
He's really good at drunk acting, I think.
He is really good. But I don't think he's probably acting here. Probably took a lunch break.
I think this is pretty much how belligerent he would act in public, according to all.
He's probably just being nice. He's actually being nicer in this. In public, he'd be probably really mean and like, treating servers wrong.
Allegedly, according to all my waitress friends at Joe Allen, he was like famous for like groping, giving little tushy squeezies.
It doesn't shock me either. Because didn't he now get canceled? Isn't he canceled?
Yeah.
All right. If you're referring to my boyfriend, he's doing business. And Big's like, oh, he's a biggin. And where did he learn to whittle like that? And Daniel Boone, is he a nice guy? And Carrie's like, his name is Aiden. And he's like, where's your sense of humor? And she's like, where's your wife? Which I would be like, but at the same time, like, I don't even know what position I would be in here, because Carrie could have, like you said, could have easily cut this off a while.
I feel like her behavior is that of a girl in her early 20s, because when I was in my early 20s watching it, I was completely in alignment with Carrie. Mm-hmm. And now I get the emotion behind all of her actions, but it's like she's in her mid 30s here too. Mm-hmm. So there's really not an excuse here to like.
And Big is like 40. So
yeah, I think he's like 43.
Which is crazy to me, because
that's crazy.
Oh
he's an adult.
That's like, I would look at him though, even on this, and I'm like, oh, he's like 55 or something. Just because in my perspective, there's no way he could be my age.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? All right, so Natasha's guarding her bid on the silent auction. She's got her eye on a beige chair. Everything in my apartment is now beige. Beige is bullshit. I thought you wanted beige. Yeah, well, doesn't quite fit.
That's such good writing. And that was before the word beige was being used like that.
Yeah. Have you got a smoke? I quit. We always used to share a cigarette together. We did a lot of things that were bad for me together. I have a secret to tell you. It's not working. I'm getting out. That's kind of how he says it.
Yeah, he takes that piece of paper and was like, it's not working. I'm getting out.
He's like, if you know anyone who's interested, and she's like, you should keep that to yourself. No one wants that information. Hard cut. Big's leaving his wife. No,
funny. This is such a good episode.
That's a really good moment. I'll give you that, MPK. That's
and if you notice, this is later that day because she's still in the same outfit.
She went directly from this to them.
Because that would be an emergency. That would be like an emergency because this is a good story.
Well, nowadays I would have texted. Like the moment they turn their back, I'd be like, Big is leaving his wife. This is happening.
Yeah, but I might want to share that. I might want to go old school on this and be like, if you're available, let's meet in 10 minutes. I would love to see your actual reactions and have a Cosmo with us.
I wonder though, because it was left at that, like, no one really wants Carrie to be with Big. So
well, they go back and forth.
Okay, so Big's leaving his wife. No, he told me at the furniture show. What was he doing there? Drinking and leaving his wife, which was a good line. Oh my God, let's just say it. You won. Was there a contest? There's always a contest with an ex. It's called Who Will Die Miserable.
It's so true, though. That's exactly what the competition is which one of you will die miserable.
Basically, they're like, so what did he say? She says it's not working out. And if you know anyone who's interested, and they're like, you don't know anyone who's interested. He's married. And Carrie's like, yeah, I get it. They're like, why is he telling you? To save postage on his newsletter? What are you going to do? Nothing. Even if he did, I have no intention of doing anything for 2 reasons. I have a great boyfriend, and I'm not insane.
Uh-oh.
Then we find out a little bit about Trey. We cut to Trey and Bunny, his mother, who love. I mean, I would hate her.
Very triggering to me about the bow in her hair, because I find a bow or a ribbon in a person's hair over the age of 5 reads to me as pornographic. Do you agree? Do you see what I mean? Like,
I do.
Sexual.
Yeah, it's giving that Lolita situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just a little baby.
Yeah, I agree. I think that she is just she's like so far removed from anything that I've ever done or been in my entire life. So I wouldn't even know how I could relate to anything that Bunny is doing. Except that she's very good at manipulating her son. So they're like, oh, who wants to sleep? Oh, wait, no, they're still at the restaurant because she's telling the girls that Trey and her are in love. She's like, I'm meeting his mother this week, and if all goes well, then what? I am the number one pessimist. If someone said that within like 3 weeks of meeting that they were going to, one of my friends said they were like thinking they're going to be engaged, I would be like, you need mental help. It's time to go get a therapist because no. Are you fucking joking me? I mean, I know some people really, they do work out. Like some people are like, oh, love at first sight. Then they're together 50 years. But like for the most part, all right. So they're like, you just met him. Like, she's like, but it's not logical. This is love.
Oh my God. I feel like I want to stop being friends with you if you're going to be like this.
Oh, I would be like, girl, I just don't know how, I don't necessarily understand how these 4 women would have become like a solid
Definitely Charlotte. I see the other 3 being friends. I don't see how Charlotte fits in with them or how they fit in with Charlotte.
Agreed.
I feel like she's friends with them so that she can feel superior.
So
even though she's taking more dick than all of
she's the one who gets fucked most on this show.
But doesn't go down on people. She doesn't give head. She's the worst.
So I do love her. And she's my MVP of And Just Like That. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Then we're at Miranda and Steve. We're at Miranda's apartment and Steve is there. As Miranda looked around, she realized the contest was over. Steve was the ex that was going to die alone and miserable. It's a common belief that women use the left emotional side of their brain and men the right, more logical side. But is it really that cut and dry? When it comes to the affairs of the heart, there's a battle between what we know and what we feel. What do you do in a situation that leaps back and forth between the left and right side? In relationships, is it smarter to follow your heart or your head?
Well, you didn't really talk about how Miranda goes to look at an apartment with Steve here. And it's
was that then? I thought that was
that's all of that.
Oh, that's what okay, so they're at that was what happened. They're not at Miranda's apartment. See, I wrote Miranda and Steve at apartment.
Oh yeah,
they're at the shitty apartment, not Miranda.
Like, dude, he has a full-time job, and I think he's like a manager at the very least at the bar. You can afford a better apartment than this, babe. I was an out-of-work actress in New York, and I never lived in a place like that.
Maybe
because job with tips.
Because he's trying to live alone.
I lived alone in New York twice.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It's not like that hard to find an apartment.
Well, they wanted to make it look like Steve has to live in like a freaking.
I guess it's Manhattan. He could move to Astoria.
Run down. Or he could move to Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's expensive now, though. It's desirable. Long Island City, too. It's bougie.
Back then, I can't even imagine what. Okay, so, all right. So, yes, that's what was happening. Thank you for the correction there.
Sure. No problem. Now,
so follow your head or your heart. Yes. Later that week, Charlotte met the head and heart of Trey's family, his mother, Bunny McDougal. And this is when we first have an instance of Trey, you know, Bunny's smoking a cigarette in this place, which always throws me off when I see someone smoking in a restaurant or something, because it feels like that was forever ago when you could do that. I'm getting a real drink. Excuse me, a Glenlivet on the rocks, please. And then Bunny reaches over and grabs Trey's arm and is like, maybe you should have a red wine instead. Better for the heart. And he's like, all righty. And then he orders a red wine. All right. Then
girls. I am telling you right now, and Jody will tell you the same thing. If you're seeing this in the early stages of a relationship, it's just, I'm sorry. I know you love this guy, but like, it's just not, it's going to be a major problem. It will be a major problem that will not go away. At the end of me and Radu's relationship, he somehow tried to gaslight me into being like, you couldn't have waited it out another 5 years until she died. It was like my fault.
But he had a wife.
Yeah. And then another wife after.
So I don't know if the mom was the whole problem there, sweetie.
No, the mom was like more of the root of the whole thing. Oh man.
Well, I've seen those like shows where it's like the son and daughter are getting married, and it'll be like the mother is like, yeah, and the mom will be like, well, I'm crab, and the host was rude, and then she's like, maybe you should go to Sebask instead, and she puts her hand on him, and he's like, all righty, great. Charlotte was impressed with Bunny's technique. Trey had been looking forward to Cloche all week. Meanwhile, downtown, Samantha was entertaining Adam Ball, a film editor who made a living cutting coming attractions for film companies. I'm dating a guy with the funkiest tasting spunk.
Well, shows her blowing him and then making a hilarious face. I mean, like, I would love to see the raw footage of her making different faces.
She's a really good physical, like, does great at physical comedy. She really does, I think.
Oh, can I tell my funky spunk story now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I still don't really know what it was. It was the first time in Canada that I slept with someone. And it ended with him coming, like, in my mouth. Right?
What?
That was the kink. No, so then I went to
like that's the first time I tried swallowing.
No, I don't swallow.
Same.
Right. This guy that I'm dating now really wants me to swallow. It's like a thing. Anyway, whatever. I'll talk about that later. Or I won't. But I went to the bathroom to spit it out, and it was dark in the bathroom. But when I spit it into the toilet, I could like see it. It was like a dark color. Yeah. Like, what do you think that is? Like, what could that be? Was it blood? Sorry.
I think it's just like they probably had a really bad diet, or like they weren't hydrated enough. Something.
It was dark. Like, I honestly would have guessed the color as like a dark orange. Like, it was
I think they have some issue. They need to go to a
normal.
doctor.
Well, I don't talk to him anymore.
Well,
I had to block him.
Of course, but if I started coming orange, I would be at a doctor.
I didn't see it though, but it was dark enough where like it was definitely not a dark, it wasn't just a thick white. It was
But I'm saying
color.
he has seen that. He knows what his cum looks like. Why would you have not have figured that out?
Seems like something you'd warn someone about, right? Just so
know.
you know.
Honestly, I think some guys try and like just avoid that stuff, hoping the other person has too much like couth to say anything. Like,
well,
I
I don't
really
know
think
if I would now. I would point it out now for sure.
I'm gonna be sick.
Gross.
I hate that shit. All right. You should write to Martha Stewart. Dear Martha, funky spunk, help. Dear funky spunk, try a hint of mint. Then they're talking, she's like, it's not just asparagus, it's asparagus and something else. I know, Clorox.
First she says it's sour like asparagus gone bad with a hint of Clorox, which I think those are two very good descriptive words for the different kind of flavors you get in cum.
Now, you do know the smell of asparagus pee is sick. And I guess asparagus cum is like that too.
No, this is the taste though. And I could, like, she says asparagus
but it's
gone bad, so it's like vinegary I'm getting from it.
Oh, see, the idea I was getting from that was that when you eat asparagus, your pee stinks.
I don't think that's what she's saying. I think she's saying it's more of a vinegary taste.
Then why even say asparagus?
There were these at ASU, right by the Student Health Center. It was lined with trees that smelled like cum, and we all called them the cum trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of those in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they grow rampant.
Okay, so this was horrible. You know, it's fine. He's healthy and I don't swallow as long as you and the Center for Disease Control are fine with it. Great. Miranda comes home to something that was even harder to swallow. You have one new message. And Miranda goes to her voicemail and it's like, hi, if this is Steve's number, this is Barbara. We met last night. I'm the advertising exec. Steve, if this is you, call me. I'd love to go to a movie sometime. And it's like,
Steve's an asshole here because this is what you do. I do have a phone number. I'm moving out. I'm living with my ex. Please don't call.
That's
just out of respect
insane
for my ex.
Also, like, so far, crazy. Steve has had a lawyer, a lawyer partner at a law firm, and now an advertising executive chasing him, and he's it is. Actually, that is a sad fact. So, and on an answering
Samantha and the cum. Wouldn't the solution to this just be your cum tastes funky? So when you come, just do it literally anywhere else. There's so many other fun options.
Would that be do you think so?
Don't you think
that would be the answer?
He still gets to, you need to come in my mouth. That's a deal breaker. Like every time, like you still get to come and I will still go down on you.
I would just not continue this.
Oh, really?
You don't know this guy. She hasn't been dating this guy long enough. She doesn't know him well enough. This is a perfect time to just cut it off and be like, I'm not dealing with nasty jizz the rest of my life. Sorry.
It's jarring when they're out later because I just don't even imagine her going out with someone and sitting down and talking and having like a conversation.
Well, and he's so his attitude about it is the part that I'm not like.
Oh yeah,
I don't love later where he's like, "Come on, baby, just suck my dick." Like,
dumb.
Like, ew, fuck you, you fucker. Now, trust me, I don't mind if a guy's like, "Come on, baby, suck my dick." But in this context where I said your jizz tastes gross, and you're like, don't worry about it. But I find Bobby Cannavale like hot, but.
He looks like my ex, Big Dick Chris.
I've heard that he stinks or has really bad like smoker's breath or something.
Oh, really?
Bobby Cannavale. Maybe I'm wrong. On an answering machine across town, you have one new message. Hi, it's me. I need to talk to you about what I said the other day. It's important. You know my cell number.
Okay.
This is
so like, what
Big calling Carrie.
Right. This would send me into a tailspin, obviously. But I think the adult, mature way to handle this is to call him right back and say, look, I guess you can't block people back then. But like, I would just be like, just you need to stop. Or maybe I would tell Aiden.
I actually don't think the thing is that in this context, Carrie still wants it. So she's not going to do any of that. Like, that would be what I would do is I'd be like, I have a boyfriend right now who is like, I mean, isn't Aiden basically living with Carrie?
I don't know, because you never see Pete there. No, he doesn't live there.
Oh yeah, but he redoes her floor.
To move in at a certain
point. I would be like, I have a boyfriend right now. Maybe if that doesn't end, even then I wouldn't say anything. I'd be like, you have to leave me alone.
This is what I did when Reggie kept incessantly contacting me, and then he'd wait like 3 months of no contact, and then he'd like send me an email that would make I had to sit down at the grocery store one time because I like my knees buckled under me because he sent me a message being like, "You'll always be the love of my life," one of those fucking messages. And I was like, if you ever send me one of these again, I'm going to forward this to your wife. Then he did. So then I did. And that opened a whole other can of worms. But I think that's how you go about it is if you call me again, I will be telling your wife. That's nips in the bud right there.
Oh, because I would just assume they wouldn't call me again. I would just make it abundantly clear. They wouldn't want to call me again at the end of it. I'd be like, you're a piece of shit. You need to leave me alone. And just because you want to be a cheater doesn't mean that I'm going to. Like, I would just read them down and I'd be like, go be with your wife. You married her. No, he'd be like, fuck this bitch. I'd never want to see her again. To me. All right. Okay. The right side of my brain told me to delete it, but I left it so that she can later listening to it.
What does it say on? I've never known what that line is. What is the line that's written on that script you're looking at? But I left it, or I left it. The right side of my brain said this, but I left it. L-E-F-T is always how I heard it. Is that not correct? That's always how I would hear it in my head.
Here's the thing. These transcripts that I use, they're not always completely perfect. And it does say, but I left it.
But doesn't it make more sense as, but I left it?
It does. It makes sense both. Actually, your way makes more clear sense, but this also, in a way, the right side of my brain told me to delete it, but I left it. I like the wordplay here where it's like more left and right. It's less deliberate. Yeah. Yours is the smarter, like the better writing way, probably. But this is more like, oh, she just said right. Oh, now she said left. You know, where your way makes more sense because you're talking about the idea.
My way would get voted down in the MPK writing room.
Oh yeah, he'd be like, what does that mean?
I don't get it.
You're like, well. Okay. It's important, my cell number. Okay, I guess. 7 callbacks later.
Michael Patrick King goes on and on about how this scene, now Miranda's here and they're eating Twizzlers. And he's like, something about the scene just wasn't working. It just wasn't connecting. And then, someone on set said, you know what they need? They need some Twizzlers.
Are you fucking kidding? I do love when people eat on screen. Like,
there's one prop helps a lot.
Often. There's a scene that sticks out in my head from, I can't remember if it was the first season or second. They're all watching the neighbors across the way fuck in the window. Oh, yeah. And they're all like eating Chinese food and just like holding the Chinese. Like, the Chinese food like takeout containers are so iconic in your brain. And they don't even really come in
those like coffee cups with the blue and white.
Like, oh Chinese my God, yes. But they don't even really deliver Chinese food in those like takeout containers like that.
No, they don't at all. It's like you get like a plastic.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys. I want my aesthetics.
Yeah.
So they've played it back a shit ton of times. And she's like, well, and Miranda's like, you should have punched him. And Carrie's like, he wants to get back together, right? That's the tone. And the high and the it's important. Is that what it means? We will never know. They still don't know who killed Kennedy. What should I do? It's obvious what you want to do, or you wouldn't listen to it. And what happened to the sane part of you? I don't know. After the 5th playback, he got in a little. I hate my machine. Yeah, I hate mine too. Steve got a message from a girl desperate for him to go to a movie. A 34-year-old guy with no money and no place to live. But because he's single, he's a catch, which... I wish that worked in the gay scene.
He has a full-time job.
Though, if you honestly, if I went to go date Steve and he said, "This is my apartment," and he took me back to his like little thing, I'd be like, babe, what?
What do you suggest he do? He has a full-time job in New York.
Find a better place.
Yeah,
here's the thing. You also, though, don't have to live in squalor because you live in squalor. Like, you can live in a shitty place and make it nicer. Like, he didn't contribute to it not looking like he lived in a freaking run-down piece of shit. Like, come on, babe. All right. Carrie calls Big. Uh-oh. It's Carrie. It's Carrie. Oh, hey, thanks for calling. It's about getting out of my marriage. I didn't know why I called or what I wanted, but suddenly my heart... Oh, so Carrie, I don't know why I called or what I wanted, but suddenly my heart was racing. I thought about it, and it's going to cost me a lot. So basically what's happening here is Big is like, I'm realizing that, I'm not actually going to marry...
I never really got this until like now that I'm older and I've seen, especially Jody, how awful that divorce was. That was like the biggest nightmare that you could have in a divorce. I'm like, it really does cost you. Your life as you know it is now over and you are rebuilding.
For minor reference, like PK and Dorit from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, he filed for divorce like on the brink of their 10-year anniversary, which is in California if you've been together for 10 years and it's all community property, I believe. So if he divorced her before that 10 years, she wouldn't get half of it or whatever. And I'm like, I would then kill that man. I mean, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But all right. So which is what happens kind of in the White Lotus, right? I will say, semi-spoiler alert for my feelings about White Lotus. If I didn't know that Tanya died, it probably would have made the second season a little more...
Oh, you knew that already?
Yeah, because she has the thing where she's like, these gays, they're trying to kill me. That was like all over TikTok. So then once the gays were there, I was like, okay, something's going to happen with these gays now.
Oh, because when I watched it with Rob... He genuinely, he was shocked. When
I only knew it because of that. These gays, they're trying to kill me.
Great though, just how perfectly annoying she plays that character.
She's so good. And you know who I thought Aubrey Plaza was great.
No, the cast from Mike White's cast.
Everyone.
Fucking impeccable. And the hotel manager in season 1, I think, is so... He won every award that year, I think. Or he at least won an award.
That, when he died... Okay, actually, that shook me. I was shook.
I know.
I was I could see it coming. How the guy was. I actually think maybe I liked the first season better, but then
I think I do too.
The ending. I had to go online and read some think pieces about the ending because I was feeling a little disappointed at the ending of the first season. I was like, well, there isn't good resolution for some of this, but then they said, so guys, check out our weekly roundup. I'll talk about it there. All right. So, Carrie calls Big. Yes. You should, I thought about it. It's going to cost me a lot. You should forget about what I said. I made my bed and I should lie in it. And Carrie's like, you do that.
And now her reaction is exactly where mine would be. It would be like instant regret for making that phone call. And now I fucking love Aiden.
Then you're just like, let me come fuck you, Aiden. Get over here.
I would need to be like wrapped in his arms immediately.
Well, that's exactly what Carrie needed. A shock treatment to jolt her back to sanity. Then they're laying in bed and Aiden's like, you got cracks in your ceiling.
This part, I hate this.
And Carrie's like, I do. And Aiden's like, yeah, baby, you got to take care of this place. You got to do some upkeep.
You know what? I'd be like, you know what, babe? I'm renting. So I'm not responsible for that, babe.
He does offer call my landlord, bitch. He offers to redo her floors. Now, please, guys, remember this for And Just Like That, season 2. It's a very important storyline, is the redoing of the floors. Because that's one of the reasons that Aiden can't step foot in her apartment.
20
Oops, sorry,
years
spoiler alert, guys, if you
later.
haven't finished the whole series. She's like, isn't that gonna take a long time and be like really invasive and annoying? And he's like, no, baby, it'll just take a day. You won't even know I'm here. And now Carrie's stupid here because I'd be like, sweetie, I'm not a dumbass. I know a day. You're gonna read my chores in a day.
I'm like, sure, all right.
Oh, see, I've watched enough like HGTV and Trading Spaces to know this ain't happening. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, a special lady. He's like, you know what? A special lady needs a special home. And Carrie's like, here I am with a guy who wanted to make my home better. And somewhere out there was a guy who wanted to pull it all apart. It wasn't a left or right brainer. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, but you still want Big
dick,
though. You still want Big though.
I believe that Big has a bigger dick and probably knows how to fuck better than Aiden. Just saying.
I think he's kinkier than Aiden.
Sam took cum guy to Sam took cum guy to get wheatgrass shots. All right. She's like, I gotta try anything. She's like, how long does it take for wheatgrass to work into your system? And the employee's like, oh, it's hard to say. She's like, ballpark. And he's like, an hour and a half. And she's like, we should order an hour and a half and two wheatgrass shots, which I'm going to tell you, taking a wheatgrass shot, it's not going to transform your cum taste in 1 hour. That is the most improbable thing I've ever heard.
Also, I feel like it's not an hour and a half. I feel like it'd be 20 minutes. It works into your system, right?
I think it needs way longer to get into your jizz.
Oh, to get into your jizz, yeah, I guess.
Maybe like into your system.
Yeah.
Like it has to, like, I feel like there's something.
Yeah, that works its way through.
I don't know. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know anatomy, guys. I don't fucking know like biology.
What is
that shit? Science is stupid. All right, an hour. I'm just kidding. I love science. An hour and 2 wheatgrass shots and a ginger melon smoothie later. He's like, I'm coming. Oh, he's like, man, baby, you give good head.
She's still wearing her full clothes here. So is the idea here that they just like went home and she just like didn't get anything out of this? She
was so horny. She was like, we got to get that wheatgrass so that I can swallow your cum, I guess. Your nasty tasting cum.
Get that cum in her mouth.
She's a cum guzzler. What can we say?
Yeah, I mean, apparently.
So they do another little cutesy cut here where she's like, oh, and she's like, oh, and then it cuts to Trey, and he's like,
he's eating ranch. Oh,
Charlotte's like, what? You don't like your salad? And it's all over his lips. He's like, no, the dressing's a tad something, and then Charlotte does the bunny move where she's like, oh, maybe you should try the tomato caprese. It's sweeter. And then she's like, I just think we should. I didn't put all the lines there. I think we should be married.
You know exactly what I want. She said, maybe we should get married. And he says, all righty.
I wouldn't take that as an engagement if I was Charlotte.
No, and I'd be pissed. This would be a fight. This would be me giving a really aggressive silent treatment for a couple of days, and then it would all come out at the end of 2 days. I would
say it's her fault in this situation.
Oh yeah, you got too excited. She does this with Harry too.
Yeah.
Like, why are you fucking you ugly loser? I really need to say that I respect Kyle MacLachlan so much because he just seems like he's game. Like he got hired.
He's an actor for sure.
To be like, he's like, I'm gonna just go with this, and I'm gonna be an impotent man on TV.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna play this like, really the character of. Well, no, I take that back. I was gonna say he's a nice guy, except when he gives her the cutout of the baby.
I've never really thought that was.
I would say it's pretty insensitive.
It wasn't evil intentioned. It was.
I don't think it. But here's my thing: is like I then would look at you as being an idiot. I would just be like, you're an idiot.
The room, yes.
If you can't think like forward one step, even like, hey, I don't want to cut out of a baby. I want a fucking real baby. I would be like, you're a fucking idiot. But oh well. Then Charlotte calls Carrie. I'm engaged. Carrie's like, oh my God, what? Really? And she's like, that's wonderful, sweetie. And Charlotte's like, I proposed to myself. What? Yes. I suggested he have a tomato salad. Then I suggested we get married. What did he say? Alrighty. Alrighty. He said alrighty. The upsetting thing is proposing to a guy who says alrighty. Whatever. All right. So it is horrible and awful.
Well, she's like, Carrie says, well, who cares about stuff like that? And Charlotte goes, I do. I think that's a great line too, because she does care about that. There are people that care about that story.
Yeah. She's like, this is an awful engagement story. What am I supposed to tell my kids? Mommy really wanted to get married, so daddy said all righty. So unromantic. Then we cut to Steve and Miranda.
This is a great scene. Oh my God, this scene is really good. Even though we don't like Steve now, this is very emotional and like relatable, this scene.
I'm not completely on Steve Hader's side. I do think that because I will constantly think he has shit in his ass crack, but whatever.
Right.
Miranda is getting up. It's 4 a.m. She's like, oh, Steve.
Because the dog is being loud.
Miranda realized he was with the girl executive.
This is fucked up, though, because Steve, baby, you have a dog.
Oh, yeah. And just last episode, he said that he was going to be the one to take care of it.
Yes. So... like that, I would be livid. And like,
beyond.
He comes in later. He slept over on a one-night stand. That's outrageous. I don't even know how you swing that.
I think you do that when you don't have a home. I mean, he doesn't have a home.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
So he's like, well, my options tonight are I can go back to my ex-girlfriend's house or I can sleep at this girl's house.
I just don't even know what I would do if like I slept with a guy and he was like, I'm going to sleep over now without me like very overtly saying.
The girl probably invited him.
Do people like, people like to sleep with people, right?
Here's my thing is I do like to sleep with someone. My whole worry and all that is the morning, the getting up in the morning. It's like we've both been sleeping. I'm with my my hair's fucked up. My face is puffy. One side of my face is smushed and I'm in my morning mood. I need to get up and like go take a shit. The last thing I want to be doing is like,
I don't buy morning moods because if you're gonna, that guy that told me that he could never fall in love with me, he was so bitchy in the morning, like scary bitchy. And he had warned me about this in advance, which seems like a green flag. But now looking back, it almost reads as a red flag. Like, I'm going to be such a monster in the morning that I need to warn you in advance, like before we even met in person. And he was so cranky. And I don't buy that because it's like, well, babe, like, what if you were like at work right now and you were serving a customer and you were this tired? You'd be able to put on your big boy pants and fucking like put on a nice face. So, but you're going to treat the person just like we're sleeping with like this. You're going to take it out on them.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd say sometimes in the morning, I'm just like...
You're bitchy in the morning.
Tired.
All right, I'm in a good mood in the morning now.
It depends on whatever happened the night before.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. True.
Okay. So...
they say like, we did good.
It was officially over. She finally got it into her head. And then Steve comes in. Morning. There's coffee. And I circled a bunch of apartments that sound good. Which I'm like, why am I your mother now? Yeah, I'm your mother and I have to now take you to apartments because you're a little baby? That would drive me. That would be the part that I'd be like, really? And then what? So then I'm going to look at every gross, shitty apartment and be like, these are all gross. I don't know. What are you going to want from me, Steve? So thank you, Steve haters. I am agreeing.
I'm getting up. But so like, so he comes in and he's like, I'm going to get out of your hair tonight. So now what's his plan for tonight? Is he going to go back to that girl's house?
Probably.
This is moving too fast.
Well, this is what Miranda wanted. They're trying to teach Miranda a lesson in this. They're trying to do that of being like, oh, Miranda shouldn't have given up. What's the ultimate lesson here? Which this is where I would agree with the Steve haters of being like, this show, whatever. All right, Carrie's at her place. She's working and the floors are getting fixed, which is like this crazy like Sander, all this crazy music.
Just watching this scene. I always get upset watching the scene because there is way too much going on.
I think that if Aiden, again, is stupid enough to think that doing all this is not going to bother me.
Right. And then also
use your brain.
Noise, and he's like, what?
He's like, don't worry about it, babe. Like, okay. I'm like,
Carrie looks so beautiful here. She's wearing like little like shorts. I guess they're legitimate shorts, but they're like, what was the style of that being?
Okay, I thought this episode, it was strange because last episode I thought the outfits and the hair and everything were amazing. This episode I thought it regressed.
Oh, I loved every episode. Well,
weirdly,
I love her episode at the I love her outfit at the furniture store or show.
I do too. I thought maybe it's just Miranda. I thought Miranda looked weird this episode. I thought last episode she looked amazing, and then I don't know, she got a haircut or something. All right. You said I wouldn't be bothered. I'm bothered. It's too loud? Yeah, I've got a deadline. He's like, go to my house. Which I'd be like, I hate you.
They didn't give enough explanation here as to why she can't. She's like, oh, Pete's jumping all over. And I'm like, we've seen Pete. He doesn't really do that.
He's deleting things is what she says. He's jumping on the thing, deleting. So she goes to the Stanhope Hotel. At least let me pay for it. No, I got it. This is why I don't do home repairs. Unforeseen costs.
Is this a real hotel, I wonder?
I think it is.
Is it like just like right around the corner?
Maybe. Okay, then Charlotte and Trey are out walking on the street. Charlotte had done the impossible in New York. She was engaged to her heart's desire. Unfortunately, she couldn't get the way it happened out of her head. Wait. Oh, so then Trey stops her. Guess what? They're right in front of Tiffany's. I think we should stop here for a minute. Maybe we should go in and find you the most beautiful ring they have. And Charlotte says, all righty.
There's lore here too.
Oh,
this is definitely an episode of commentary, obviously, that they weren't allowed to film in Tiffany's, so they had to film them outside of Tiffany's looking in, and then they did like a fake like exterior, like where they're like, because it shows them, like, as if you're inside Tiffany's.
I like them. I like it this way better.
Me too. This is perfect.
Like, and actually, this is, if a guy proposed to me like this, I would love that. Actually. This actually sounds like fine with me. Yeah. Like, let's go spend a ton of money. Cool.
I also don't wear rings though, so I'd be like,
I don't either.
$50,000 of cash.
I don't wear. I don't really like wearing jewelry. I have rings, I have necklaces and bracelets and all kinds of crap, and I just like.
The first thing I take off the second we're done recording is always my necklace because I hate like feeling it.
Oh. Alrighty.
Well, let's get on to the
Samantha and Adam. All right, Adam is like, suck it. And she's like, ew, no, you've got nasty tasting jizz. And he's like, what? And she's like, you heard me. Your spunk is funky. And he's like, my spunk? And she's like, cum, spooge, jizz, joy juice, funky. Which I'm like, Samantha's coming off as like a 70-year-old eccentric weird lady when she's like, your spunk is funky. I've heard bad excuses for not giving head, but this one takes the cake. Excuse me? You're a 2-blowjob chick. They're in the coming attractions, but I'll never see them in the movie. And then she's like, you taste your cum and then I'll do it. And he's like, that's gay. And she's like, it's not gay if it's your own. And then cut to, he tastes his, he cringes, and he's like, it's fine. And then she sucks his head, but her heart, she sucks his head. She sucks his dick, but her heart isn't in it.
Also, there's the blowjob speech in there that you ran right past.
What blowjob speech?
Where she's like, honey, they don't call it a job for nothing. Where she's
yeah.
That's a good speech, because I think of that, the first time I heard that speech, I was like, it made me feel a camaraderie with other people who've done that. Like, oh yeah, that is what it's like. You're constantly like adjusting your like everything, and then like making noises like you're into it. And like,
I think in general, men's perception is that like sex is easy.
Yes.
And anyone who's receiving a penis either in your mouth, your butt, or your vag knows that it ain't that easy.
You can work at it.
That's why all men should get pegged. All right, pegging for all men. All right, this is the scene. I'm just going to go through it.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Okay, Carrie's at the hotel. All right, the phone rings. Hello? It's me. I'm in the lobby. How did you know I was here? That guy at your place. You called my house again? I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you too. Stay there. Shit. All right, this is not the lobby.
Trench coat, and she's wearing little shorty shorts, like a cami, and then this little tight cardigan, and it just has like one button.
Like she's like, I'm ready to get fucked immediately.
She's ready to get fucked.
She's like, what are you doing? Calling my house, following me to hotels? And he's like, could you just sit down for a minute and listen to me? He's like, please, 1 minute. She's like, I don't have time. I have a boyfriend and a deadline. And you have a wife and a drinking problem. He's like, I'm not drunk. Then what is your excuse? Slow down. I can't think. I was an asshole the other day. Yes. When I said I was leaving, you didn't say anything. I got nervous. So what? I don't know. This has to stop. Flirting, jerking me around, calling my boyfriend. He doesn't know about you and I don't want him to. Why? Go lie in your beige bed. Carrie, wait. I haven't explained this very well. Wait a minute. Listen. The thing is, fuck, I miss you. Too bad. Do not come in here. So then she's getting into the elevator. She's like, do not come in here.
When would you have turned? Because I know exactly when I would be like, oh God. It's when he starts getting like flustered, because I find that I would be very empathetic of him being flustered, that I would like give him.
When he's like, the thing is, fuck, I miss you. That would be where I would probably fall. I'd be like,
and like the whole situation is so sexy right now.
It is, but at the same time, I am very much the type where like, if I have a boyfriend, I'm committing my energy to my boyfriend. So I don't think it would be that easy for me to fold the way that Carrie does, because he's like, wait a minute, listen. He's like, the thing is, fuck, I miss you. She's like, too bad. And she's like, don't come in here. He's like, I have to talk to you. And she's like, what is it you have to say? He's like, I made a mistake. She's like, fuck you. He's like, I love you. Fuck you. And then she's like, fuck you. And he's like, I love you. He's like, kind of like this. Now, I don't think they would do it like this nowadays, because it is SAE. Like, he's like forcing himself on her, kind of. And she's like, in the voiceover, they start kissing. My mind was yelling how angry I was, but my heart, and then it's like, fuck me.
I just got chills in my whole
And here's where I love when she actually says, and just like that. She's like, and just like that, I lost my head.
I just has they're sharing a cigarette and she quit smoking for Aiden.
Yeah, because they share a cigarette in a way where they're overhead looking at them in bed.
And they're not talking to each other. They're smiling though.
I think he has a cigarette, and then the other, like, they put it in the other one's mouth, and oh my God.
It's so hot.
It really is. Guys, we did it.
I was shocked when I saw this. Like, shocked.
I think I was too young, but
you're like,
I think I would be shocked. No, I don't think I was. When did this come out?
2000.
I was 14.
It's okay. So you didn't.
I don't know if it's cheating and all that. I don't know what I thought.
You weren't horny at 14?
Not really. Not for straight love, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Guys, we did it. That was such a good episode. I'm so excited that is the next one running with scissors? No, the next one is where Aiden like leaves for like some out of town thing, and and then Big comes over again, and they fuck in the shoe. And then Aiden says, "I love you" at the end of the episode.
You guys, make sure that you're here every week on Friday for our Pod in the City episodes, and check us out Wednesday live on YouTube, y'all, for the weekly roundup. Also, if you are interested, you can join our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Pod in the City. This week we did a really fun listener questions episode. Last week we did a really fun sex episode. So check it out, patreon.com/Pod in the City. We love you guys so much. And if you feel like leaving a 5-star review, do it. Anything less than 5 stars, fuck you. Just kidding. Yeah. We love you.
In Canada, too. We got one review in Canada, and thank you so much. Those are the only ones I can see. I can't see the US ones. Love you guys. Have a great
hit
week.
like.
Yeah, hit like, subscribe, all that. Bye.
Bye.